there.
Hey Jaret, how you doing, fella? You all right?
Man, I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm fine. I'm all stocked up with the British tradition. I have to have a cup of tea during an interview. It's the law over here.
I got it. I'm having iced tea.
That makes sense. Texas.
Yep.
Take our ideas, change them, pretend they're your own. I get it.
That's what we do. Yeah, we either make them better or make them total shit. Either way,
Different.
we fucked up the language, but gosh darn it, we've made some other things great.
I have to admit, I've been corrected on several of those ones. I'm normally the first one to pick up on aluminum, but apparently that's actually more correct than aluminium is.
I would think so, but it's funny because we hide behind uh vowel sounds all the time.
Hmm.
So, but yeah, I guess for me it would be like somebody would say, you guys have fucked up the language, and I'll be like, well, you guys say electricity, and there's a T, there's a silent T in there. Like, how
Hmm.
did that? What anyway? But I
I've actually
digress.
noticed, watching my daughter's YouTube videos, I've actually spotted a lot of Americans now dropping the T's, and it sounds really weird hearing it with an American accent. It's just odd.
It does. Yeah,
So you're
yeah.
getting out of bad habits now.
I know that's what we do. Just get lazy. Anytime we have an opportunity to get lazy, Americans will jump it.
That's human nature, I think.
True.
Told my daughter, I just have to very quickly say, Neve says hello, but she's too shy to come in and speak to you.
Okay, well, tell her I said hi, and
I will do. She'll see the video later on.
cool.
Um, we've got a fair bit to get through, and I do appreciate the fact you'll have probably done a bunch of interviews today already, with so much stuff coming up. Plow through all the obvious stuff to start off with, and I've got a few other bits I want to talk to you. I think Jamie may have mentioned as we progress towards the end of the video, because we've got a particular event coming up at the beginning of May that I'd like to have a quick chat to you about.
Cool.
First thing though is not sure if I'm exactly spot on for the dates, but I've certainly got the years right. But happy 30th and happy 20th.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a big year for us.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I mean, I certainly never thought we'd be 30 years and still doing this, but I'm certainly happy that we are. And
Mhm.
the 20 years of Hangover You Don't Deserve has absolutely flown by. So we're counting our lucky stars. We feel very blessed.
Yeah, I was having a quick search online for one or two of the questions I'm going to ask you later on, and I did find the Bowling for Soup on Reddit. And Hangover You Don't Deserve seems to be the favorite album. And when you actually look at the songs on it, it's not bloody surprising.
Yeah, it's funny. I think from a hardcore fan's perspective,
Mhm.
Drunk Enough to Dance is by far the favorite album. But
Mhm.
then when you get into just people who are fans of the genre, fans of Bowling for Soup or whatever, that's going to be Hangover You Don't Deserve. And you're right. Like the track listing for it. I mean, even our live show still to this day
Yeah.
will be 5 or 6 songs from that album, which is much more than any other album the other albums are lucky if they get 1 or 2.
Mhm.
Uh, and so definitely, big record for us and our biggest hits on that one and definitely a fun ride for sure.
It's got a lot of songs on it as well. I didn't realize, but 18 songs, I think.
Yeah. You know, I and this has come to bite me in the ass later in life because now we've got to work up the whole album and play it
Oh,
for the
true.
American people for 6-8 months.
Mhm.
And I uh you know my big thing back then was, all these other bands are only putting 12 songs on an album. Well, we're punk rock. Like we want people to get their money's worth.
Mhm.
And it and financially, the labels would try to talk you out of it. They'd be like, you should only put 11 or 12 songs, and that's all they pay you for. So the label will pay you for 11 or 12 songs, and the rest of them you're giving them for free.
Mhm.
And everybody would try to talk to me about that, and I never gave in on those big records. But at the same time, as I listen to it, I'm very happy that those records are long and that they are what they are, because I don't know what song you would take off if you had to lose one. I think it'd be hard to pick one.
Yeah, I mean, Hangover is definitely one of those all killer, no filler jobs, isn't it? I mean,
It
even
definitely
when
feels
the
like it to me.
yeah, it's even when the titles slip you by, you're like, which song's that one again? You hear the first few notes and the bit of the chorus. Oh, it's that one, and
Yeah.
they're so recognizable. As you say, they crop up even in the acoustic sets. You're playing some of the songs from there as well. I mean, not even just
Yeah.
1985, but I mean, a bunch of the other ones as well. So Ohio's massive. I mean,
Yeah.
if you tried not to play that live, I think you'd have riots.
Yeah. I mean, 1985, Ohio, super important songs. Girl All the Bad Guys Want, and then Almost from the Hangover record, and then High School Never Ends and Phineas and Ferb. Those are kind of the ones to where if we didn't play one of those, somebody's leaving mad.
Oh yeah,
And so that's where our set starts every tour, like,
yeah,
well, we have to play these six or whatever it is. So what other eight or nine can we fit in?
and drinking time, obviously.
Well, and yeah, we need plenty of time for comedy, you
Mhm.
know? Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
I mean, talking about shows, you've got a few coming up over this side of the pond as well. You've got a little party going on in Derby at a racetrack, which is actually the first place I ever saw you play back in 2000 and something. I'm
Yeah.
guessing it's 8 or 9, maybe. I can't remember exactly when. It was quite some years ago. There's Inflatable Sheep. Does that ring bell?
Yeah, so that was 2007.
2007. Thank you for that.
Yeah, and big year. And then yeah, and then the next time we came back with the sheep, Chris stuck a banana up one of their butts and it deflated. And so then in 2014, Game of Thrones was really big, so we had a knight in shining armor come and sacrifice the remaining sheep. And so we had a good run out of those. But yeah, download coming up in June, and then and also two shows in Dublin and one in Belfast,
Yeah.
and I believe a show in Italy. And then we come back home and start our well, I got some country dates, but then we start our US tour.
I was going to ask you about the country dates as well, because you came over here, played a handful. Unfortunately, I didn't get to Glasgow because I would have been there like a shot. You've got a new single out as well, just last week or two.
Yeah, got a single out called Lone Stars, and it's doing really well. And so I'm about 2 years into this building this thing, and planning to be back over for C2C next year and a tour. So um, won't be long before we're in 2025 and I'll be over there playing some country songs.
That'll be fantastic, man. That's it. Something I'd like to see. The album was brilliant. I gave it a good review for a reason.
Thank you.
I have to admit, back in the day when I was a student, we used to get country music television on cable when it was a thing in the UK, and it
Yeah.
was because all the other music channels were crap. CMT was the one we had on all the time, so
Yeah.
it was something I actually did give a listen to. But put to one side when the metal stuff took over, then this album lands like, what's Jaret? You got to give it a listen, and oh god, this is good. It's
Well,
funny and
thank you.
it's
Yeah, my thing was is that I didn't want to few things. I didn't want to make a Bowling for Soup record that
Mhm.
was just country.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And I didn't want to make a Nashville sounding record, not just super polished. Like I wanted to make like a old school Texas country record.
Mhm.
And that's what I did. And so I've really stayed true to that with the new stuff that I'm recording, Lone Stars and all that stuff. I mean, the great thing now is that the guys that are in the band are actually playing on the record, and so everybody's super invested in it, and it's an actual band, and we're happy and touring around Texas and playing lots of shows, and they're excited and I'm excited. And so I'm just having a ball, man. Downtime, idle time is, I don't deal well with it. I love to be busy,
Yeah.
and I realize I miss a lot of stuff, but it just that's what keeps me going, is keeping
Mhm.
on going. And I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah, no, I can sympathise with that one. Between teaching full time, 3 kids, Krav Maga, running the website, yeah, the downtime is something that other people have.
Yep. 100%. Yep.
Just going back to Hangover, we've got a little tradition whenever I interview. I always pick out some lyrics from the album because I know you guys write from experience. I've got a couple here. I've got Friends of Mine, which I absolutely love. It's a wonderful song towards the end of the album. It totally hits you by surprise, being that slow and gentle. And
Yeah.
but there's one that I think it comes in the second verse. It all began in a coffee shop in a most unlikely town. Is that
Yeah.
to do with BFS?
It is, yeah. So Chris ran a little it was a coffee shop. It was called the Refuge Coffee Shop, but really it was almost like a just like a gathering place for bands and it was that's it started out, I guess, as a coffee shop that was sort of funded by his church as like an outreach.
Mhm.
But they started having bands there, and the church wasn't involved anymore. And so Chris just kept it going as the Refuge Coffee Shop, but that's where bands played. And so that's really where we all, that's where I met Eric. I had known Chris a long time, but not really in the music world. And then Lance and I, original drummer for Bowling for Soup,
Yep.
were playing there in our band that was before this one. And so, yeah, that's absolutely biographical.
And one of the slightly more dodgy ones from Almost, which I absolutely love that song. The word breasts is just should be in the English language.
Yeah.
Um, who was it who almost held up a grocery store, or is that one you made up?
So that song is a bunch of nonsense,
Thank God.
because all exaggerations of something that really, because nothing actually happens in the song.
Mhm.
It's everything almost happens,
Mhm.
and so the idea was to get more ridiculous as the song went, and you know, it's actually just it's kind of a sad song if you think about it. I mean, it's this
It
guy that
is.
got driven to like holding up a grocery store to try to get money for drugs that he didn't do, but he did, and but he didn't do any of this. And so uh I don't know. Me and Butch Walker wrote that song, and I think the idea was is just it doesn't matter how ridiculous it gets because we didn't do anything.
Mhm. Number three, and the last one before we move on. This one may require the statute of limitations having passed for this. Two-seater. How
Right.
biographical is that one? Because that's kind of worrying.
So that song is that did happen. But it was a guy that worked for us. Um, but it gets a little crazier than that. He statute of limitations is fine, and everything has been worked out. But this guy that worked for us, blew up a car. It wasn't directly his girlfriend's car, but he blew up a car and he filmed it. And the film got turned over to the police, and that's how he got busted. And so that, along with just, thinking about how uh, a lot of, the making out back in the day used to happen in the back seat. That's sort of like where that song started. And then we just kind of took it to the next level of like, oh man, we're gonna fuck this car up. But there was a car actually fucked up in our camp. Um, and luckily none of us were involved in it.
And if you wouldn't say.
Mm-mm.